The scorched sky of planet Ziva hung heavy and oppressive over Corporal Lena Marquez and her squad as they patrolled the rugged terrain. Their boots crunched over the alien soil, a mix of crystalline fragments and ashy dust that glittered ominously under the pale light of the planet's twin suns. The air was tense with the silence that only came after a firefight, the recent echoes of battle still ringing in the soldiers' ears as they moved through the desolation. Lena led her unit with a keen eye and steady hand, her rifle at the ready, her senses attuned to any sign of danger. The mission was straightforward: secure a recently abandoned enemy communication relay, but the reality of war was rarely simple. Ziva, a strategic point in the galaxy, had become a contested battleground where Earth forces clashed fiercely with the native Zivarans. The landscape bore the scars of these encounters, craters and charred ruins dotting the horizon. As they neared the target location, Lena spotted something unusual. Amidst a patch of darkened rubble, a large form stirred weakly. The squad tightened formation, weapons drawn, as they approached the anomaly. What Lena first thought to be debris was, in fact, a creature, alien in form but unmistakably wounded and in distress. It was unlike any terrestrial dog, with 6 muscular legs and a thick, armored hide that glistened with a mixture of blood and a strange, luminescent fluid. "Stay sharp," Lena cautioned her squad, her voice low. Her squad mates murmured amongst themselves, some with curiosity, others with suspicion. The creature's eyes, large and luminous, watched them intently, not with the ferocity of a predator, but with the weariness of the hunted. Despite the murmurs of protest from her team, Lena approached the creature. She knelt beside it, her combat medic instincts kicking in. "It's okay," she whispered, more to calm herself than the beast. She could see the creature's chest heaving, its breaths shallow and pained. With careful hands, she examined the wounds, a mix of burns and deep lacerations likely inflicted by energy weapons. "Why are we wasting time with this thing?" Sergeant Davis grumbled, eyeing the perimeter nervously. "It might be booby-trapped," another suggested, his rifle still trained on the creature. But Lena was already pulling bandages from her pack. "We're not leaving it to die," she stated firmly, meeting each of her squad mates' gazes. "We have a duty to all life forms. This creature is no enemy combatant. Look at it, more scared than threatening." Reluctantly, her team covered her as she worked. Lena applied a coagulant foam to the worst of the wounds, then wrapped them with bandages. The creature watched her, its eyes dimming slightly, perhaps in gratitude or simply from pain easing. As she treated the alien, Lena noticed an unusual pattern of scars along its flank, almost ceremonial in their precision. It hinted at intelligence and perhaps a significance they didn't yet understand. Just then, the ground trembled with distant artillery fire, a stark reminder of the ongoing conflict. "All right, let's move," Lena commanded, her eyes lingering on the creature. "We can't just leave it here, it's coming with us." There was a collective sigh from her squad, but no one contested. They fashioned a makeshift stretcher from nearby debris and gently lifted the creature. With the alien now dubbed Titan for its formidable appearance, they resumed their trek towards the communications relay, the weight of their new responsibility silently acknowledged among them. They were soldiers, trained for war, but today they had become guardians too, shepherding a wounded warrior from a species they knew nothing about. The path ahead was fraught with dangers, both known and unknown. As they navigated through the alien landscape with Titan in tow, Lena couldn't shake the feeling that the creature's presence would change the course of their mission in ways she couldn't yet foresee. What began as a routine operation had now become a journey into the heart of the unknown, with a potential ally who might hold the key to understanding more than just the tactics of their enemy, but perhaps the very outcome of the war. As Lena's squad continued their advance towards the communication relay with Titan in tow, the atmosphere grew increasingly tense. The distant rumblings of artillery were a constant reminder of the precariousness of their position on the front lines of an alien world. The landscape around them was a labyrinth of jagged rock formations and steep ravines, offering both cover and challenge as they moved. Their path, though meticulously planned, was fraught with the unpredictability that comes with carrying an unknown alien creature. Titan, though wounded and subdued, was an enigma. His massive form and quiet observance added an element of unpredictability to the mission. Lena couldn't help but feel that every step took them deeper into a strategic quagmire, with Titan as both their burden and wild card. The squad's advance was halted when their forward scout, Private Jenkins, raised a clenched fist, signaling a stop. "Movement ahead," he whispered into the comm. The team instantly dropped to the ground, weapons ready, eyes scanning the horizon. Lena crawled forward, joining Jenkins behind a large boulder. Through her binoculars, she saw the glint of sunlight on metal. Zivaran drones patrolling the area around the relay station. "We've got company," Lena reported back to her squad. "Looks like a drone patrol, 6 units, heavily armed." The presence of drones meant their mission had just escalated. These were not mere surveillance units, but combat-ready machines capable of significant destruction. Sergeant Davis, ever the tactician, was quick to devise a plan. "We use the terrain to our advantage," he suggested. "Move from cover to cover and take out those drones before they can report back." Lena nodded, aware that the success of this approach hinged on precision and timing. As they prepared to maneuver into position, Titan stirred, his 6 legs shifting uneasily on the makeshift stretcher. Lena approached him, her hand outstretched in a calming gesture. Surprisingly, the creature's eyes fixed on the distant drones, and a low growl rumbled from his throat. Lena felt a sudden charge in the air, the hairs on her arm standing on end, a tangible shift in the electromagnetic field around them. "Wait!" she called out softly, an idea forming as she observed Titan's reaction. Turning to Davis, she proposed a risky alternative. "Let's use Titan. He's reacting to the drones. It's possible he can interfere with their operations, maybe even take them down." Davis looked skeptical, but the situation demanded innovative solutions. "Do it," he decided after a tense moment. The squad watched, breaths held, as Lena gently coaxed Titan into action. With a deep, resonant howl, Titan unleashed a wave of energy, visible only in the slight distortion it caused in the air. One by one, the drones faltered, their navigation systems evidently scrambled by Titan's electromagnetic pulse. They spiraled out of control, crashing into the rocky terrain below. The squad was momentarily stunned by the effectiveness of Titan's defense mechanism, then quickly regrouped, advancing towards the relay station with renewed vigor, their path cleared. Lena stayed close to Titan, her respect for the creature deepening. He was not just a stray animal. He was a being of power and mystery, capable of turning the tide in a battle with nothing but his innate abilities. As they reached the perimeter of the communication relay, the reality of their situation settled in. They were deep behind enemy lines, with a powerful but unpredictable ally, and the certainty that the Xivarans would soon realize what had happened to their drones. The squad set up defensive positions, preparing for a counterattack, while Lena pondered the implications of Titan's abilities. Could this creature be the key to more than just this mission? Could understanding Titan bridge a gap between their species? These questions loomed large in Lena's mind as she surveyed the relay station, now under their control, but surrounded by the potential for escalating conflict. The battle for the relay was over, but the war, with its newly discovered dimensions, was just beginning. With the communication relay now secure, Lena's squad quickly set to work fortifying their position. As engineers scrambled to establish a defensive perimeter, Lena remained by Titan's side, pondering the creature's unexpected intervention. The squad's medic, Corporal Singh, joined her, bringing with him new medical supplies to tend to Titan's wounds, which seemed to be healing at an unnatural rate. "Corporal, have you noticed anything unusual about Titan's recovery?" Singh asked quietly, his brow furrowed as he administered a pain-relieving agent to the creature. Lena nodded, her gaze fixed on Titan, who lay calmly, almost contemplatively. "It's not just his recovery. Did you feel the electromagnetic pulse he emitted? There's something about him that's beyond our current understanding of Zivaran fauna." Singh agreed. "I've been reading his vitals. They're unlike anything I've ever seen. We should send these findings back to HQ. Maybe the research division could make sense of it." As they discussed Titan, a tech specialist managed to access the Zivaran database at the relay station. She called Lena over, pointing to a series of encrypted files she had decrypted. "Corporal, you need to see this," she said, her tone urgent. The files contained detailed research on Titan's species, known as the Guardians. The Zyverans had revered these creatures for centuries, not only for their physical prowess, but for their innate ability to manipulate electromagnetic fields, a trait that had deep spiritual and practical significance for them. The Guardians were once considered sacred beings, integral to Zyveran culture and ceremonial life, before the war repurposed them as weapons. The revelation hit Lena hard. Titan wasn't just some biological curiosity. He was a being of cultural significance, potentially a bridge for peace if treated with the respect his species deserved. "We need to protect him," Lena decided, her voice laced with newfound determination. "Not just for the tactical advantage, but because it's the right thing to do." Her resolve strengthened by the discovery, Lena called a meeting with her squad. She explained the significance of Titan, emphasizing his potential as a diplomatic asset beyond his immediate tactical utility. The squad listened, the earlier skepticism replaced by a growing recognition of the broader implications of their new ally. However, their strategic discussion was abruptly interrupted by an alarm from the perimeter sensors. A Zyveran strike team was approaching, likely in response to the loss of their communication relay. "Positions, everyone! This isn't just about the relay anymore, it's about making sure they don't get Titan back," Lena ordered, her voice echoing the gravity of the situation. The ensuing battle was fierce. Zyveran soldiers, armed and agile, stormed the station with clear intent to reclaim it, and possibly Titan. Lena's squad fought with renewed vigor, aware of the stakes. Throughout the skirmish, Titan remained calm, his presence seemingly soothing the humans around him, even in the midst of gunfire and chaos. Amid the conflict, Lena noticed Titan's gaze fixed on a particular Zyveran soldier who hesitated upon seeing Titan. The soldier's reaction was not one of a warrior intent on retrieval, but of reverence and sorrow. The brief eye contact between Titan and the soldier spoke volumes, hinting at the complex relationship between the Guardians and the Zyverans. The battle concluded with Lena's squad maintaining control over the relay station, but the encounter with the reverent soldier left a profound impact on Lena. It was clear that Titan's significance was recognized by his own kind, complicating the ethical dimensions of his involvement in human conflicts. As the dust settled, Lena approached Titan, who seemed to acknowledge her leadership with a low, resonant hum. The sound vibrated through the air, soothing and enigmatic. Lena vowed to learn more about the Guardians, hoping to uncover a way to restore Titan to his rightful place in Zyveran society, thereby forging a path towards peace, a mission that now seemed as crucial as any military victory. With the communication relay secured and the immediate threat from the Zyveran forces repelled, Lena took advantage of the lull in battle to delve deeper into Titan's origins and the potential for leveraging his status among his people. The information uncovered from the Zyveran databases indicated a nearby research facility, ostensibly for agricultural development, but possibly a front for more sinister experiments related to beings like Titan. Realizing the importance of understanding Titan's role and capabilities, Lena proposed a daring mission to infiltrate the facility. Her plan was met with mixed reactions. The risks were significant. However, the potential to gain a deeper understanding of Titan and possibly negotiate a truce with the Zyverans fueled her determination. After heated discussions, her commanding officer reluctantly approved the mission, emphasizing stealth and the extraction of any valuable intelligence. The team consisted of Lena, Corporal Singh, and 2 other specialists in reconnaissance and electronic warfare. They departed under the cover of darkness, with Titan reluctantly left behind at the base under heavy guard and medical observation. Navigating the alien terrain, the team used a combination of natural cover and advanced cloaking technology to evade enemy patrols. The journey was tense, each member acutely aware of the consequences of discovery. As they approached the facility, the stark, metallic structure stood in stark contrast to the organic lines of the surrounding landscape, its exterior illuminated only by the dim glow of security lights. Using a combination of hacking tools and brute force, the team breached the perimeter security, finding themselves in a labyrinth of sterile corridors and high-tech labs. The facility was eerily quiet, the only sounds the distant hum of machinery and their own cautious steps. Singh, with his medical expertise, was drawn to a lab filled with biological scanners and containment units, suggesting experimentation on living beings. As Lena and her team gathered data from the computers, they uncovered disturbing details about the experiments conducted on guardians like Titan. The research aimed to enhance their natural abilities, pushing the boundaries of ethics in the name of military advantage. The implications were profound, painting a bleak picture of exploitation masked as advancement. Before they could dig deeper, alarms blared through the facility. The team was compromised. With no time to retreat, they prepared for a confrontation. The enemy was quick to respond, and a tense standoff ensued. Surrounded and outnumbered, Lena and her team fought valiantly, but capture was inevitable. The team was disarmed and brought before the facility's commander, a high-ranking Zivaran officer who viewed their intrusion with a mixture of curiosity and disdain. Lena, seizing a moment of direct communication, attempted to explain their mission's peaceful intent and Titan's significance both to her people and his own. To her surprise, the commander was more receptive than expected. He revealed himself to be a scientist before the war, forced into military service. His familiarity with the Guardians and his visible discomfort with their exploitation cracked open a door to dialogue. In a twist of fate, the commander proposed a temporary ceasefire under one condition. Lena and her team would be allowed to leave unharmed, but they must take with them evidence of the atrocities committed there, spreading the word in hopes of catalyzing a broader resistance against the war from within Zivaran ranks. The return journey was fraught with reflection and renewed purpose. Lena felt the weight of the evidence they carried, not just in physical data, but in the moral implications for both humanity and the Zivarans. As they neared their base, the sight of Titan, visible on the outskirts waiting for their return, reinforced the rightness of their cause. Now more than ever, Lena understood the true battle was not for land or power, but for the soul of two intertwined species caught in a conflict neither truly wanted. Upon returning to the base, Lena and her team were greeted with a mixture of relief and urgency. The information they had extracted from the Zivaran research facility was explosive, detailing not only unethical experiments on guardians like Titan, but also suggesting deep-seated dissent among the Zivarans themselves. This revelation offered a new angle for negotiation, and possibly an end to hostilities if handled correctly. As they debriefed with command, Titan seemed to sense the seriousness of their findings. The creature's demeanor had changed. He was more alert and somehow more present, as if understanding that his fate, and perhaps that of his species, hinged on the decisions soon to be made. The evidence was quickly forwarded to Earth's military and diplomatic corps, sparking intense discussions about the next steps. Meanwhile, Lena took it upon herself to deepen her bond with Titan, spending hours at his side, trying to communicate through the limited yet growing psychic link they seemed to share. Through these silent conversations, Lena learned of Titan's past, his family, and the role Guardians traditionally held in Zivaran society, a far cry from the warriors they had been turned into. While Lena worked on building trust with Titan, an unexpected ally emerged. A Zivaran defector, moved by the plight of his people and the misuse of the Guardians, sought asylum with Earth's forces. He was a mid-level scientist from the facility Lena's team had infiltrated, carrying additional data and a personal testament to the horrors he had witnessed. This scientist, named Sorel, provided a clearer picture of the political landscape on Cyvera, and confirmed the growing unrest among various factions within his government. He described how the war had started as a defensive measure, but had spiraled into something much darker under the influence of corrupt leaders who saw the Guardians as mere tools for achieving dominance. "Many of us do not believe in this war anymore," Sorel explained in a meeting with Earth's commanders and Lena. "We see now that we have lost more than we could ever gain, and the treatment of the Guardians? It is a betrayal of everything we once held sacred." This testimony was a turning point. It humanized the enemy in the eyes of many of Earth's soldiers and painted a complex picture of moral and ethical decay that transcended species. It sparked debates at the highest levels of command about the potential for a diplomatic resolution to the conflict. Encouraged by these developments, Lena proposed a bold move. With the support of Earth's command and the new Zivaran allies, She would lead a diplomatic mission back to Zivera. The objective was clear: to present the evidence of the experiments to the broader Ziveran public and to the moderate factions of their government, fostering a movement toward peace and the restoration of the Guardians to their rightful place in society. The mission would be risky. The war-torn planet was still under the control of hardline elements, and the message they carried could easily make them targets. However, Lena felt a deep conviction that this was the only way to a lasting peace, not through continued combat, but through understanding and reconciliation. As preparations for the mission began, Lena spent her remaining time at the base with Titan, who had become more than just a symbol of the war's complexity. He was a friend and a bridge between two worlds that had seen too much conflict. She promised him that she would do everything in her power to ensure that his kind would never again be used as weapons. The night before their departure, Lena looked out over the base, the stars above mingling with the soft glow of the camp's lights. The weight of her upcoming responsibility felt immense, but the quiet solidarity of Titan at her side gave her the strength to believe that peace was within their grasp. Together, they would change the course of their worlds. The diplomatic mission to Zivera, led by Lena and accompanied by the defector Sorrel, began under high stakes. Their spacecraft, disguised as a Ziveran trade ship to avoid detection, carried not just a crew of diplomats and soldiers, but also Titan, whose presence was crucial for their mission's success. The journey was tense, with each member of the team aware that their approach could be detected and intercepted at any moment. Upon entering Ziveran airspace, the ship was indeed halted for inspection. Lena and her team held their breath as Ziveran guards boarded. Thanks to Sorrel's detailed knowledge of Ziveran protocols and a few carefully forged documents, the inspection passed without incident, though the atmosphere remained charged with unspoken threats. Once on the ground, the team wasted no time in setting up a meeting with representatives of the Ziveran government who were sympathetic to their cause. These officials, having received preliminary communications from Sorrel, were cautiously optimistic about the potential for change. They arranged for a covert assembly where Lena could present the evidence gathered from the research facility. The assembly took place in a secured location deep within the capital city, attended by various stakeholders in the Ziveran government, military, and scientific community. Lena, standing before them, felt the gravity of her task. With Titan by her side, she began her presentation, unveiling the cruel experiments and the exploitation of the Guardians. The response was a mix of shock, anger, and disbelief. Videos and documents displayed on the large screens showed undeniable proof of the unethical treatment and the devastating impact on the Guardians and the moral fabric of Ziveran society. Titan's calm and dignified presence amidst the tumult served as a powerful testament to the arguments being presented. As the assembly debated the findings, outside forces were aligning against them. Hardline factions, learning of the meeting, mobilized to arrest the attendees and crush what they viewed as a betrayal of the war effort. Word of this reached Lena through Sorrel, who maintained contacts within the government. With little time to spare, Lena and her allies formulated a plan to use Titan's unique abilities to protect the assembly. As troops surrounded the building, Titan, sensing the impending threat, positioned himself at the main entrance. Emitting a powerful electromagnetic pulse, he created a temporary shield that disrupted electronic equipment and disoriented the approaching soldiers. This act of defense allowed Lena and her team to negotiate a ceasefire from a position of strength. With the hardliners temporarily at bay, and the evidence now public, moderate factions within the government found the courage to step forward, calling for an end to the experiments and a reassessment of the war's motives and goals. The days that followed were a whirlwind of political maneuvering. Thanks to the impact of the evidence and Titan's demonstration of his species' capabilities and sentience, a treaty was drafted that called for the cessation of hostilities and the restoration of the Guardians' rights and dignity. As the treaty was ratified, celebrations broke out across the planet, both in human and Ziveran territories. Titan became a symbol of hope and peace, revered not only among his people but also by humans. Lena, witnessing the joy and relief her efforts had brought, felt a profound sense of accomplishment and hope. However, true peace was still on the horizon, requiring hard work and mutual understanding. The treaty was just the beginning, but it marked a significant turning point in the conflict, one that promised a future where both humans and Zyverans could coexist and prosper. Lena knew the road ahead would be challenging, but with Titan at her side and a newfound alliance, she was ready to face whatever came next. In the aftermath of the treaty signing, the planet Zivera slowly began to transform from a war-torn battleground into a beacon of peace. The cessation of hostilities brought a palpable sense of relief to both sides, allowing for recovery efforts to commence and for deeper diplomatic ties to be forged. As part of the treaty, Lena was appointed as an ambassador to Zivera, a role that she accepted with a deep sense of responsibility and honor. Her primary mission was now to oversee the integration of the Guardians into society as beings of dignity and respect, not as weapons of war. With the conflict resolved, Titan's role also evolved. No longer just a symbol of the strife, he became a key figure in the peace-building process. His presence at public events and diplomatic meetings served as a living testament to the possibilities of understanding and cooperation between species. Titan, for his part, seemed to embrace his new role with a quiet dignity, becoming an ambassador in his own right. Lena and Titan traveled together across Zivera, visiting cities and villages that had once been battlegrounds. They participated in ceremonies that honored both human and Ziveran lives lost in the conflict, promoting healing and reconciliation. Titan's ability to connect with his people was profound. His presence alone could soothe and inspire those around him. Lena watched with pride as Titan interacted with his fellow Guardians, who were slowly being reintegrated into their natural habitats and roles within Zyveran society. As part of the recovery efforts, Lena also helped to establish a cultural exchange program designed to educate both humans and Zyverans about each other's customs, histories, and philosophies. The program was a success, fostering a mutual appreciation that transcended past prejudices and opened the door to a shared future. Despite the progress, challenges remained. There were still factions on both sides that viewed the peace with skepticism, clinging to old fears and hatreds. Lena dealt with these challenges through diplomacy and by setting an example of cooperation with her Zyveran counterparts. Her calm and measured approach helped to diffuse tensions and build trust where it was lacking. Months passed, and as stability returned, Lena began to feel a pull towards Earth. Her family and friends were waiting, and her duties as an ambassador had reached a stage where she could hand over the responsibilities to a newly trained diplomatic corps. It was time for her to return home, leaving behind a legacy of peace and the foundation for a new era on Zivera. On her last day, Lena visited Titan in the sanctuary that had been established for the Guardians. It was a vast, open landscape where the Guardians could roam freely, surrounded by nature, yet with access to care and protection. She found Titan by a serene lake, watching over younger Guardians as they played. Approaching him, Lena felt a surge of emotion. "You're where you belong now," she said softly, placing a hand on his broad back. Titan turned to look at her, his eyes conveying a depth of understanding and gratitude. In that moment, Lena realized that while she was returning home, part of her heart would always remain on Zivera, bonded with Titan and the planet she had helped to heal. She promised to return, not as a soldier or diplomat, but as a friend. With a final lingering look at the peaceful sanctuary, Lena turned and walked back towards the waiting shuttle. The journey back to Earth was ahead, but she carried with her the memories of a mission that had changed her life and reshaped the future of two worlds. Titan watched her go, standing tall and proud by the lake, a guardian not just of his species, but of the peace they had all fought so hard to achieve. Back on Earth, Lena found herself navigating a world that felt both familiar and changed. Her time on Zivera had left an indelible mark on her, shaping not only her perspective, but also her sense of purpose. As she settled back into civilian life, she carried with her the lessons learned and the friendships forged across the stars. One of the first things Lena did upon her return was to reunite with her family. The embrace of her parents and the laughter of her siblings brought a sense of grounding after the whirlwind of intergalactic diplomacy. Over shared meals and long conversations, Lena shared stories of her experiences on Zivera, of the challenges faced and the triumphs achieved. Her family marveled at the transformation they saw in Lena. The once determined soldier had evolved into a compassionate diplomat, driven by a desire for understanding and reconciliation. They listened with pride as she spoke of her work with the Guardians and the role she played in brokering peace between humanity and the Ziverans. Despite the joy of being reunited with her loved ones, Lena found herself restless, yearning for a sense of purpose beyond the confines of Earth. She longed for the open skies, the vastness of space, and the boundless opportunities for discovery and growth. It wasn't long before Lena's thoughts turned back to Zivera, to the friends she had made and the unfinished work that remained. Determined to continue her efforts to bridge the gap between humans and Ziverans, Lena reached out to her contacts within the diplomatic corps. She proposed the establishment of a permanent Earth embassy on Zivera, a symbol of the enduring commitment to peace and cooperation between their two worlds. The proposal was met with enthusiasm, and plans were set in motion to make it a reality. As preparations for the embassy progressed, Lena immersed herself in the study of Ziveran culture and history, eager to deepen her understanding of her newfound allies. She attended language classes, learned traditional Ziveran customs, and forged connections with influential figures within Ziveran society. Throughout her preparations, Lena kept in touch with Titan, exchanging messages through the advanced communication channels established between Earth and Zivera. She found solace in their conversations, in the shared memories of their time together, and the shared dreams of a future where peace and cooperation prevailed. Finally, the day of the embassy's opening arrived. Lena stood before the assembled dignitaries, her heart swelling with pride as she addressed the crowd. She spoke of the journey that had brought them to this moment, of the trials faced and the bonds forged between their two worlds. She spoke of hope and possibility, of the belief that together they could build a future of peace and prosperity for all. As the ribbon was cut and the doors of the embassy opened to the public, Lena felt a sense of fulfillment wash over her. She had come a long way from the battlefield of Zivera, but her journey was far from over. With Titan by her side and the support of her friends and allies, she was ready to face whatever challenges lay ahead, confident in the knowledge that the bonds of friendship and cooperation they had forged would guide them through whatever trials awaited them. With the Earth Embassy on Zivera established and her role as ambassador solidified, Lena found herself at the forefront of a new era in intergalactic relations. The embassy became a hub of activity, a place where diplomats, scientists, and cultural ambassadors from both worlds could come together to exchange ideas and foster cooperation. Lena threw herself into her work, eager to build on the foundation of peace that had been laid, and to explore new avenues for collaboration. One of Lena's first initiatives as ambassador was to launch joint research projects between Earth and Zivera, focusing on areas of mutual interest such as renewable energy, medicine, and environmental conservation. These projects brought together some of the brightest minds from both worlds, leveraging the unique strengths of each species to tackle complex challenges. As the research progressed, Lena also worked to promote cultural exchange between Earth and Zivera, organizing art exhibitions, musical performances, and literary festivals that showcased the rich diversity of both cultures. These events proved to be immensely popular, fostering a deeper understanding and appreciation of each other's traditions and values. Meanwhile, Titan continued to play a central role in the ongoing efforts to reintegrate the Guardians into Ziveran society. Lena worked closely with Ziveran leaders to establish protected habitats for the Guardians, ensuring that they could thrive in their natural environment without fear of exploitation or harm. The Guardians, in turn, became ambassadors for the importance of environmental stewardship, using their unique abilities to protect the delicate ecosystems of Zivera. As the years passed, Lena's work as ambassador garnered widespread acclaim, earning her accolades and recognition from both Earth and Zivera. She became a symbol of unity and cooperation, a beacon of hope for a future where peace and understanding prevailed. But amidst the celebrations and achievements, Lena never forgot the lessons she had learned on Zivera, the importance of empathy, compassion, and the power of friendship to transcend even the deepest divides. She remained humble in the face of adversity, always striving to be a force for positive change in the galaxy. As she looked out over the bustling cityscape of Zivera, surrounded by friends and allies from both worlds, Lena felt a profound sense of gratitude. The journey that had brought her here had been long and arduous, but it had also been filled with moments of joy, discovery, and camaraderie. And as she gazed up at the stars, she knew that there were still countless adventures waiting to be had, new horizons to explore, and endless possibilities for the future.